you don't look like you have a disability. I'm like, well, gosh darn it. Like, what? I mean, hi, my name is Abby. I'm 19 from Canada and a student. According to my Myers-Briggs code, I am an ENFJT. I'd say that to a T. I'm also a lover of music, acting, reading, writing, film, television, pop culture, tea, cozy flannels, and being around people. Most people who I'm close to or have met me on multiple occasions would describe me as extroverted, warm, kind, wickedly hilarious, creative, talented, and a good friend. I also have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or as we all know it as ADHD, and a nonverbal learning disability, or as it's also known in the learning disability community as NLD or NLVD. And in this video, as it's very clearly titled, I'm going to get real about what it's like having learning disabilities and how hard it is, because it's hard and it's hard to be vulnerable about it. And I'm really putting myself out there by talking about this, but I feel like it's so important as someone who's a part of the community and someone who cares about the people in their community. You know, unless you have a learning disability yourself, you probably don't know what it's like to live with it on a day-to-day basis because it's invisible. People can't, see. It's not a broken arm, it's not a broken leg, it's not visible. So often I've told people, yeah, I have ADHD and I have nonverbal, and they're always like, you don't look like you have it. I kind of think to myself, like, okay, did I miss some kind of cue? Like, am I supposed to look a certain way in order to have learning disabilities? I mean, the last time I checked that, you don't have to look a certain way to have to struggle with something. Knowing that you're different, the knowing that you're different does something to your brain. It does something to your self-esteem. And, not only does it affect how you learn and how you take in information, it affects relationships and it affects how you feel about yourself and, in some cases, view the world. There have been multiple times where I've been out in public, whether I've been just at Starbucks or whether I've been on the bus or, I've been anywhere, and I've heard people say that they don't believe that learning disabilities are real. They just think it's an excuse for kids to get out of things and because they misbehave. And if only they knew, it's sitting, it's looking on Facebook and seeing all these people comment on things saying, oh, I don't think that this is real. Unless you have it yourself or you legitimately live with someone, know someone who has a learning disability, you'll never understand what it's like. I've had friends say to me, oh, I know what it's like to get distracted. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. I mean, I'm not going to discredit them because I know people who get distracted and they don't have ADHD. I could go on about other symptoms, but it's more than just getting distracted. I know I for sure do not try to get distracted. It could have been in high school when I was putting the exact same amount of work as a friend, or maybe even more, putting in more work and getting, if I'm lucky, a B+. Or even, being in post-secondary, sitting in a 3-hour lecture, knowing that you're not going to be able to take in everything and knowing you're going to have missing components to your notes. And there's also that, that stigma behind having accommodations. Like in school, I have a note taker just because I know for sure, I'm not going to get everything. I can try and try and try and try, but there are some days I just don't even go to lectures because I know I'm not going to focus. It's interesting because I could go on and complain and whine about what my learning disabilities have prevented me from doing. Sure, they have, they have really put a bit of a damper on my life. But I'm not going to let them prevent me from doing things. I'm not going to let them prevent me from living life, from being around people, I'm not going to let the anxiety of meeting new people and hope and pray that they don't know that I have a learning disability. Because frankly, I hate talking about this. I really do. I hate talking about it. I think it's the scariest thing in the entire world. But as a person who is, you know, has a voice, I should be using it to tell people that, hey, this exists, but we don't have to let it be a disability. It's only a disability if we let it. If I could have told my, I don't know, my 13-year-old self to not worry about it, that things will eventually all pan out, I would in a heartbeat. But I just want to use this, this camera, me, this platform like YouTube as a way to say, hey, we exist, but we're not gonna let what society thinks of us bring us down. I mean, I've been very happy in the past decade, I'd say, even 5 years, people are starting to kind of say, okay, people with disabilities aren't that bad. It's still gonna suck for us because it's invisible. Because people again think that, oh, just because it doesn't show on your face or it doesn't show in your body, it's illegitimate. It's so legitimate. I was misdiagnosed when I was really little, only to find out when I was 18 years old, so very recently, that I was misdiagnosed. And I believed something about myself all along. I bought into the labels. You don't have to buy into the labels. I'm not an overly serious person. I'm able to joke and I'm able to kind of make light of having this, because let me tell you, getting distracted by every little thing can be very entertaining and very amusing. Not to mention that a lot of the people who I've met who've had learning disabilities have the best senses of humor, because we think outside the box, or maybe there is no box to begin with. I mean, do you know how many actors and creators of great things have learning disabilities? And yet in 2016, I still feel scared to talk about it. I think it's time. I think it's time that there's some kind of hope out there. I think it's time that more and more young people who struggle with ADHD or nonverbal or even ADD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, Asperger's, autism, take a stand. Or not take a stand in a negative way, but take a stand in a positive way. I'm a strong believer that every single person on this earth has a purpose, and they have skills and abilities and talents and gifts that they can offer. And one little label, such as a learning disability, should not get in the way. When I was in high school, I used to say I wouldn't, or I used to say to myself that I wouldn't be great because I had learning disabilities. I genuinely believed that about myself. And I felt very down about myself. But then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? What am I doing? I have so much to offer. Creativity, outside the box thinking, sensitivity, you know, a little bit of care. I care. I care so much. And I don't want another young person to feel the way I felt in high school. And up until very recently felt. I'm still working on it. Yeah. So this is not going to be the only video. This is just mainly kind of putting it out there that I'm raring and ready to talk more about learning disabilities and to talk more about, providing people with information, providing hope and encouragement to those who struggle. And this is not the first video. I want to do more. I want to talk about learning disabilities and friendship, media representation. I am a huge fan of pop culture and the media, like I mentioned at the beginning. So I would love to talk about the media representation. I love to talk about love relationships when the time comes, because I'm currently very single. And I'd love to talk about, parents and their kids. I'm very lucky where my parents have been incredible supports in my life. And I know that there are kids out there whose parents are just, they don't know what to do. And I want to provide hope to those parents that, hey, your kid has a lot of hope. Your kid has a lot in there. They're, again, There's so many beautiful things about the learning disability community. Subscribe to this channel and share this. If you can relate to how I feel, if you kind of understand what it's like to go through something, or if you know someone, tell me about it. I do not know very many people in my circle of friends or community that have learning disabilities, or if they do, they're not very open about it. And I think it's about time that we became more open. And I don't know, like, just more open and find hope. Again, I'm a believer that every single person is fearfully and wonderfully made. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let's start the conversation. I'm so serious. I'm dead serious. Let's get this conversation started. Ask questions. If you have questions about learning disabilities, I mean I can only vouch for ADHD and nonverbal, but if you have any questions, or if you have learning disabilities and this kind of spoke to you, let me know. I want to connect with people. That's the beauty of social media, is we can connect and it doesn't matter where you're from. So I hope you're having a great day or evening, afternoon, wherever you are. And I hope to talk to you all soon. Bye.